Hello, back again for another county today. Today I've even I didn't plan my clothing at all, it's just a coincidence. We're going to Hertfordshire. Look, it's a kind of heart as well. Anyway, before we talk too much about Hertfordshire, Hertfordshire is one of our neighbours. And do you remember when we did Bedfordshire? That was another one of Cambridge's neighbouring counties. I talked about the first tractor being invented in a place called Biggleswade in Bedfordshire. I just wanted to tell you about an email I got from Amy in my class. Some of you might know her. Because it turns out that Amy and her family have a distant relative who was the person who invented the first tractor in Biggleswade. I thought you might like that. Anyway, Hertfordshire is today. So Hertfordshire is one of our neighbours, like I said. The prominent towns in Hertfordshire, you're probably looking at places like St Albans, Hemel Hempstead, and the county town, which is Hartford itself. Now, I'm going to start talking about origins of place names again. I've become a little bit obsessed about that during my research for these counties and the history research I've been doing for Mr. Morrell as well. So I just think it's really interesting. I need you to think back to when we did another landlocked county called Oxfordshire, and we talked about the origins of the name Oxford. So it was to do with oxen, cattle, and the point of a river where they crossed it called a ford. So Oxford, was where the cattle crossed the river. Well, it turns out that Hartford, and that's spelled Hertford, so the county town of Hertfordshire, the origins of the name Hartford are quite similar to the origins of the name Oxford, but for a different animal. So a hart is spelled slightly differently, H-A-R-T. A hart is a fully mature stag, so a male deer, with the antlers and everything. So the name Hertford originates from a point where fully mature stags, so harts, used to cross the ford. So they used to go on the ford, across the rivers, then you get Hartford. And I guess over time, the spelling has changed from H-A-R-T to H-E-R-T. Anyway, I found a website that had 17 amazing things that Hertfordshire has given us. We haven't got time for 17, but I'm going to just read a handful for you. So, I found out that Hertfordshire has two garden cities. So it has Letchworth Garden City and Welwyn Garden City. So the idea for these garden cities came from a man called Ebenezer Howard. And it was all about trying to make an environment that was a really nice place for people to live. So Letchworth Garden City was the first one to be built in 1903. And the idea was you had this mix of residences, so that's where people live, and some spaces for industry, businesses, and some spaces for agriculture or where you would grow things, and they would all kind of blend together. So if you visit places like Letchworth Garden City or Welwyn Garden City, you get lots of streets that are tree lined, so it's all very well maintained and feels gardeny, so it's supposed to be a pleasant place to live. Hertfordshire also has the first new town in England, and that new town is called Stevenage. I actually used to teach in Stevenage quite a long time ago. So the idea around the new towns, this was because of a housing shortage at the time. So the first new town was planned and then built after the Second World War. During the Second World War, our capital city, London, got bombarded by German fire, and lots of people lost their houses, their homes, because of bombing. So there was actually a housing shortage. So this idea of new towns was to build some new houses, some new places for people to live, for the people in London who'd lost their homes. And then this website also told me that Hertfordshire gave us pillar boxes. If you don't know what a pillar box is, it's one of those red post boxes where we put our letters in. So in 1867, a man called Anthony Trollope designed the pillar box. So up until that point, if you had mail, you had to take it to a special house that received mail, or a post office. But of course nowadays, if you want to post a letter, you don't have to go to the post office. You can, but you can post your letters into a pillar box all around different villages, towns and cities in the country, and then the postal service come and collect the mail, and then it goes to the sorting office. So it was obviously a really good idea, a successful idea, because we still use them today. I thought you'd like those facts. I hope you did. I hope you're all staying safe and you're keeping well. We're going to go with more landlocked counties. That's the theme for the next few counties. So the next time I see you will be Buckinghamshire.